Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's September 1st, 2016. Early this morning, the big news was the explosion of the SpaceX rocket at Cape Canaveral in Florida, the NASA launch site. If you're not familiar with SpaceX, they are the private space company owned by Elon Musk, the billionaire who owns Tesla Motors, the electric car company, named after Nikola Tesla, the inventor. Very quickly, earlier this week, I put out a video on the Italy earthquake and Nikola Tesla. And if you have time, please check out that video. Talk about a lot of important information. I also discussed Tesla's quote from when he was the inventor, the scientist that he was, which was the late 1800s, the early 1900s. He said that the world of science was not being run by scientists, but was being run by mathematicians who did everything by the numbers and made contrived science fit within mathematical formulas. And that relates to what we're going to be discussing in this video, because what I'm exposing is how the world of mainstream media is contrived propaganda each day by the numbers as ritual. And what we're going to see is the explosion of this rocket today was truly a ritual by the numbers, a tribute to the billionaire Elon Musk, who owns SpaceX, as well as a tribute to Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook. And the reason for Mark Zuckerberg is because this rocket, which was supposed to launch Saturday, was going to deliver a satellite to space to supposedly provide social media to parts of Africa, the Middle East, places that have limited internet access right now. So they're saying this is a tragic loss. It was an investment in the people, and it all went up in smoke. And what people will understand, hopefully by the end of this video, is that this news is completely propaganda. This is a made for mainstream audience news story to deceive the masses. These stories cause confusion in our understanding of space travel. You know, we've seen these headlines before. Last year on Elon Musk's birthday, the SpaceX rocket exploded. Since then, they've had a number of very successful launches. Now another explosion. And headlines that say, well, we're probably still 10 years away from our goal. And there's a reason for this. It keeps us in an endless loop of anticipation, not quite getting why these explosions keep happening when you have all this success. Long story short, people, we are being lied to, and we are being lied to by the numbers, and we are made to have our heads spin on purpose. And I'm going to show you just how that's done. Please stay with me until the end of this video. What I share with you may seem crazy. Just understand it's because I'm exposing crazy people. So let's get into it. The Freemasons believe in order out of chaos, and it is Freemasonry, the secret society, the international network that has people in high places that abide by these number codes, that stage these incidents by the numbers. In the history of NASA, almost every astronaut to travel to space has been a Freemason. Freemasons believe in order out of chaos. Today's date numerology sums to 46 and 19. The words chaos and gematria are 46 and 19. We saw a very chaotic scene. And let's just take a moment to watch this explosion. I will link this CNN video. You can watch from the beginning. Nothing happens up until this point. You know, you just see the steam coming off the rocket. I want you to notice how right at a minute 12 it explodes. This is on purpose in this video. This explosion is at a minute 12 for a very specific reason. We're going to talk more about it. I want you to see it with your own eyes. I also want you to notice that the origin of the explosion is right about where my cursor is right now, near the top of the rocket. Watch how the explosion comes from here and not from below where the thrust is. This was just a test. It wasn't launching today. Unexpected explosion supposedly, but truly made for TV propaganda by the numbers, for deception, for agenda, for ritual. Here we go. Minute 12. Boom. Let's watch it one more time. Watch how the explosion point where it starts is right about there. Boom. Right as a minute 12, the explosion rips out. Massive explosion. So what's up with a minute 12? Here's what's up with a minute 12. A minute 12 is 72 seconds. We just watched a rocket explode. Rocket equals 72 in gematria. Rockets are supposedly used to get outside the world up into space. This was going to deliver a satellite to space. World has gematria of 72. Also, a minute 12 looks something like the number 112, and it just makes me think of the Apollo mission. Houston, we have a problem. We'll talk more about Houston, we have a problem, and what that tribute might be also in this video. This headline above, SpaceX rocket explodes, gematria of 87, just like planets. To the occult, to the esoteric, the most important planet is Saturn. Saturn sums to 93. Planet in Jewish gematria is 226. I want to show you this about 226 and 93. 226 sums to 93. In Pythagorean gematria, these numbers often get paired together in this study. Think about the World Trade Center bombings on February 26th, 1993. Those were synced up to the day with September 11th. If you've never seen my work on that, please check it out. The Freemasons, builders, measurers, mathematics, doing things by the numbers. This goes on in a lot of regards because these people, what they're doing is building a framework of understanding for us in the world, controlling what we know about science, spirituality, history, what's a threat to us, such as terrorism. They're doing it all by the numbers. So check this out. Elon Musk is born June 28th, 1971. Last year on his 44th birthday, the rocket exploded for SpaceX on his birthday. They'd had successful launches since then. Now another explosion today. This explosion, it comes in a span of 66 days from his birthday, or 9 weeks and 3 days, something like 93 for Saturn. September 3rd launch. Cape Canaveral in gematria sums to 48, 66, and 102. All special numbers. United States of America has gematria of 102. Empire 66. 48 has to do with propaganda and so much more. The other space station is Kennedy. The feedback in the media, the interview came from somebody who was working at Kennedy. They didn't have someone from Cape Canaveral talking about it. They had someone from Kennedy, the other space station. When you write out 33, it also sums to 66. 33, the number of Freemason obsession. From his birthday to today, the explosion at Cape Canaveral, 66 days. The site where the explosion happened was Space Launch 40. I did some more reading. Supposedly it was Space Launch Site 39A, where they'd had their successful launches. They used a different launch site, the explosion. Space Launch 40 has gematria of 74, like Masonic. Very important number to this nation. You know, what's our birthday? July 4th, Independence Day equals 74, Holiday 74, English 74, gematria 74, Masonic 74, the founders of this nation, Freemasons. The type of rocket that exploded, an Amos 6. Come back up here to the date. We talked about how today's date connects to chaos, chaotic scene, the explosion. The name of the rocket has gematria 46, just like chaos, just like sacrifice. This rocket was truly sacrificed in an explosion for deception. Amos 6, if you just take the gematria of Amos in simple English gematria, also sums to 48. Like Cape Canaveral, like Illuminati, like propaganda, like hoax, like evil. And that's really, all these numbers, these words connect perfectly, because this is what it is, to deceive us purposefully about this world we live in and what science has truly accomplished and what can be accomplished. The date the rocket was supposed to take off, September 3rd, 2016, a date with 48 numerology, tying in with all these other 48s. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket explodes during test firing in Florida. I documented this because CNN, New York Times, they had it as the Amos 6, And then Reuters reported it as the Falcon 9, which is something I've seen a lot of with SpaceX. So I don't know. Are these rockets interrelated? Is it a mix-up in reporting? I just documented what's interesting about Falcon 9 as well. Falcon 9 connects back to 48. Falcon 9 also has gematria of 93. The launch was supposed to be for September 3rd. Again, Saturn, propaganda. Here's how Amos 6, what they also reported as being, had the gematria of 46, connecting to today's date numerology, connecting to the name Elon, gematria 46. Notice Musk, the reflection 64. Zion equals 64, Israel 64, Thelema 64, Synagogue of Satan 64. As for the Facebook part, look at this. NASA was established in 58. Drawn up on a date with 113 numerology, mainstream equals 113, dishonest equals 113. Bava Kama 113a says it's okay for somebody who's Jewish to lie to somebody who's not Jewish. The year 58 is important because secret society is 58, Freemasonry is 58, science is 58, star is 58, solar system. Facebook also shares this gematria because Mark Zuckerberg is part of this Freemasonic Zionist network. Mark Zuckerberg, if you've never seen the video where he gets busted with his hoodie, he's on a show, he gets asked to take off his hoodie and show what's inside, he gets all sweaty and uncomfortable. I mean, he's sweating bullets. He finally takes it off, and what's inside? A logo with the Star of David, the Zionist symbol. By the way, here's a quick gematria lesson you should know. All-seeing eye sums to 119. Star of David sums to 119. King James Bible sums to 119. We talked about Nikola Tesla sums to 119. Last year, Forbes did an article on Elon Musk saying he's worth $11.9 billion. Think about the date, September 11th, written 11/9 in most parts of the world. Here's another good 119, master plan. And that's what we're living out. A planned master plan by the numbers, rolled out day by day, and rolled out more successfully as technology strengthens its grip on us. So now let's get to the Mark Zuckerberg part of the tribute. His birthday is May 14th, 1984. Remember, United States of America equals 84. The book 1984 is about a futuristic nation ruled over by technology, screens, deception, always at war. Mark Zuckerberg is also born on Israel's birthday. The same day Israel's independence is recognized is his birthday, Mark Zuckerberg. From his birthday to today is 110 days. Elon Musk equals 110. Special number, a number often connected to tragedy. The World Trade Centers were 110 stories tall. Take the 0 off the end of that, you're back to 11. The master number, New York, the 11th state. The World Trade Centers look like big 11s. The first flight to hit them, Flight 11. There was the Charleston church shooting last year at 110 Calhoun Street. The name Osama bin Laden equals 110. Here, 110 days after Mark Zuckerberg's birthday, a big boom. And just like on Elon Musk's birthday, there was a big boom. It's all done by the numbers. It's all measured. The Freemasons measure from the birthdays. The birthdays are so significant. I also want to point out this. NASA equals 35. Launch pad equals 35. An explosion on the launch pad, something we've all seen before. Speaking of all-seeing eye has gematria of 35 alone, so does Catholic. In the next video I put out, it's going to be about the Genesis reading on Christmas Eve 1968 and the duality between science and Christianity that is purposefully created in this nation to tear people apart needlessly. In the playlist, I have the video discussing the history of the Catholic Church and space and Galileo and all the parallels. And remember, the Freemasons are into duality, divide and conquer. This or that, making people choose one group over another, because when the people aren't united, when they're fighting needlessly, more easily conquered. The number 35, what it also reminds me of is that Houston, we have a problem. The date that happened was the date April 14th, 1970, a date with a life lesson number of 35. Important number to NASA, launch pad, the Catholic Church. At the Vatican, there's a giant pine cone statue. A lot of people say the reason that pine cone is there is because it represents the pineal gland in our head, having to do with our third eye, our mind's eye. Everything that's done to us is all about controlling our mind's eye. What we're thinking, what we're believing, what we're trusting. The date of this incident with Houston, we have a problem, April 14th, 1970. That date can be written 14/4, a lot like 144. That's the number for time in Jewish gematria. Saturn, the keeper of time. Houston, we have a problem in gematria, sums to 96, just like Freemason. The divisors of 42, again, sum to 96. You take all the numbers that divide into 42, they equal 96. Freemason, the small ways, 42. The word math, 42. 96 also has a relationship to Saturn. Saturn's orbital speed, what it supposedly does when it goes around the sun, is 9.69 kilometers a second. You know, Houston, we have a problem. We talked about this explosion. The upcoming Super Bowl in Houston, Super Bowl 51, it is hinted at in the movie Oblivion, which has to do with the future and space and Armageddon. Oblivion in gematria sums to 44. In that movie, it says the last Super Bowl ever played was in 2017, which will be this year in Houston. And this year's Super Bowl is on a date with 44 numerology. If you write out 44 as a word, it sums to 144, the number connecting to time. Again, Oblivion equals 44. Interesting how that lines up based on the fact that it actually talks about this coming Super Bowl in the movie. Super Bowl 51 will be hosted by the Houston Texans, which in gematria equals 51, the number for conspiracy. Outer space in gematria also sums to 123, just like conspiracy the big way. I don't think it's a coincidence. You know, you look at this language of gematria, you start to see the grand deception. Show you something about outer space the small way too. 42. And if you do the S exception, which is plus 9 more, outer space is 51. If you're new here, watch my How to Gematria video. S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 becomes 10. 1 plus 0 becomes 1. That's why S can be worth 1 or 10 in this system. But you know, it's just one more 42 from the game. Last year, there were the NASA astronauts. It was on a date with 42 numerology, wearing the Dope Panic t-shirt. This is the gang, Truth Seeker. This is the gang Tesla talked about that does things with math instead of actual science. You know, it's obvious that they practice real science, but they must keep that for themselves and just mock us with the truth, you know? So I'm going to put out another video tonight. It's going to be on 1968, Christmas Eve, the Apollo 8 crew reading Genesis. It was a big controversy at the time. I'm going to show you how ritualistic it was, how by the numbers it was. It's very amazing. Happened 68 days after the first reader's birthday. Reminds how on September 11th, 2001, when George W. Bush was president, that happened 68 days after his birthday. Again, he graduated in 68. Year 911 was made National Emergency Dialing Code. Year World Trade Center construction began 33 years earlier. But I think we covered it all, Truth Seeker. The only thing left to say is, if you're a skeptic, please, in the description, I'm going to link this playlist. This is my playlist showing NASA propaganda, SpaceX propaganda, Blue Origin propaganda, all by the numbers. It's amazing how many times SpaceX has done launches on dates with 68 numerology. It's all covered here in this playlist. Whole lot of information. I'll be adding this video and the next one I make to this playlist as well. Please check out the video I put out next. It's going to be even better. Until next time, Truth Seeker.